All right, let's jump right in. Today we're going to be deep diving into Cardfight, Vanguard G, Neck XT.
Sounds good.
Our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to really unpack what makes this season tick.
Ooh, I like that.
We've got this super interesting academic analysis that we're using as our guide. So we're going to be looking at themes, character arcs, and how Neck XT really fits into the whole Vanguard universe.
Okay, I'm excited. One thing that really struck me in this analysis is how it talks about the under-20 championship.
Okay.
It's not just like a tournament. It's like this crucible, this thing that forces these characters to grow, not just as card fighters, but as people, too.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Give me an example. Like, how does that actually play out?
Well, look at Chrono's rivalry with Kazuma, for instance.
Yeah.
At the beginning, you could just feel Kazuma's resentment towards Chrono.
Right.
Like, remember when he just loses it after their first match?
Oh, yeah.
He accuses Chrono of not taking Vanguard seriously, even goes as far as saying that Chrono doesn't deserve his, rare and powerful units.
Oof. Yeah, that's harsh.
It is. But then watch how their relationship shifts as the season goes on. Instead of constantly butting heads, they actually start learning from each other.
Right.
Like during the match against Team Demise, Kazuma freezes up, totally paralyzed by self-doubt. And who steps in to give him that pep talk? Chrono. He reminds Kazuma of his strengths, tells him he's got to believe in himself.
Yeah. I remember that moment. It's like a switch flips for Kazuma. He finally sees Chrono not as just a rival, but as someone who's genuinely trying to help him get better.
Right. It completely flips the script on that typical rival thing, Instead of tearing each other down, they're lifting each other up.
So it's more about healthy competition, like the analysis says.
Yeah, exactly. It's about pushing each other to reach their full potential.
I love that. And it's not just those two, right? The analysis mentions how Shion's battles against Ryuzu Myojin's followers play into this too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That whole storyline is fascinating.
It is. It always kind of threw me for a loop. Can you break it down a bit?
Sure. So first we have to remember that Ryuzu Myojin is Chrono's dad, right?
Right.
And he's this, mysterious figure.
Yeah.
Disappeared years ago, but his influence is still everywhere.
Yeah, okay.
So Ryuzu's followers, they see him as, a visionary leader, and they're determined to carry out his legacy, whatever that means. And who do they clash with? Shion, the guy who leads the, more established Vanguard Association.
So it's like Shion is fighting against this mythical figure, even though Ryuzu isn't even around anymore?
Exactly. It adds this whole other level of complexity to things.
But why are they going after Shion specifically? What's their beef with him?
Well, think of it this way. Shion, he represents the old guard.
Okay.
Ryuzu's followers, they think he's holding Vanguard back,
Yeah.
They're all about revolutionizing the game, and Shion is like this obstacle in their path. So their battles are more than just about who's got the better deck.
Right, so it's about the soul of Vanguard or something.
Exactly. And what's cool is how Shion changes through all of this.
Yeah.
At first, he's pretty proud, kind of isolated too.
Okay.
But facing these guys over and over, it forces him to rethink everything.
I can see that.
Remember that crazy match he had with Jaime Alcaraz, one of Ryuzu's most devoted followers?
Oh, yeah, Jaime. He was something else.
Right. Shion walks in expecting an easy win, but Jaime's playing style is completely different. He's got these unorthodox strategies, and he believes in Ryuzu's vision so much that it throws Shion completely off guard.
Yeah. He's fighting this force of nature.
Totally. Shion's pushed to his absolute limit in that match. He has to admit, maybe he's not perfect. Maybe there's more than one way to approach Vanguard.
It's like he's forced to step outside of his own little box, his comfort zone.
Precisely. And this whole idea of collaboration versus going it alone, it's not just about Shion. Next T really puts teamwork front and center, which, is pretty different from past seasons.
Yeah, it's like a whole new dynamic for the show. I mean, look at Chrono's team.
Totally. You got Chrono, Taiyu, and Kazuma. Each one brings something different to the table, strengths, weaknesses, the whole package.
And at first, they're bumping into each other all the time.
Oh, for sure. Their styles clash, their personalities, it's a mess. But then you watch them go through these challenges, learn to trust each other, and bam, they finally start working as a unit.
Okay, but remember their match against Team Trinity? Disaster.
Oh, man, that was rough.
Chrono gets so caught up in his own, individual power that he totally forgets about his team.
Classic rookie mistake.
Right. And they pay the price for it, big time.
But that loss, it becomes this turning point. They have to look in the mirror, realize they're stronger together than apart.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate underdog story, right?
Totally. They stumble, they fall, they learn from their mistakes, and in the end, it's that teamwork that helps them triumph.
It's classic. But what's cool is that NXT doesn't just limit this teamwork thing to the heroes.
Right. It's woven through the entire season.
Like, remember Shion's team from Fukuhara High and their rivalry with Harumi's?
Oh, yeah. Total opposites in terms of how they approach the game.
Yeah.
But the respect between them, it's undeniable.
So NXT is saying that there's real power in coming together, even if you're rivals.
Exactly. True strength is about finding that common ground, working towards a shared goal. Even if you're competing, there's still room for unity.
Okay, so we've got rivalries that push characters to grow, a big focus on teamwork. Anything else this analysis highlighted?
Oh, there's plenty more. But one thing that really got me thinking was how NXT tackles the whole theme of identity and purpose.
Ooh, lay on me.
So many of the characters in this season are wrestling with these questions of, like, who am I? And what am I doing with my life?
Right, those big existential questions.
Exactly. And Chrono, obviously, he's trying to figure out who he is outside of his father's shadow.
Yeah, talk about pressure. Trying to live up to Ryuzu Myojin's legacy, that's gotta be tough.
No kidding. He admires his dad, but he also wants to create his own path, make his own mark on the world of Vanguard.
So how does that play out for him over the course of the season?
Well, we see it in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
At first, he leads heavily on a deck built around Chronojet Dragon cards, which are, directly tied to his dad.
Makes sense.
But as he grows, he starts incorporating cards that reflect his own style, his own beliefs.
Oh, that's really interesting. It's like his deck is literally evolving alongside his identity.
Right. And it's not just Chrono struggling with this stuff. Tokha, she's got her own challenges to face.
Yeah, she does. It can't be easy trying to carve out your own space in a world dominated by guys.
Exactly. And NXT doesn't shy away from showing those struggles.
So Tokaha's story is about proving herself, showing that she's a top player in her own right.
Absolutely. At first, she relies a lot on cards and strategies connected to her brother. But over time, she develops this unique playstyle.
It's about breaking free from expectations, defying the odds, right?
Exactly. And it's not just about gender either. Look at Kazuma. He's got a whole different set of issues he's dealing with.
Oh yeah, Kazuma. He starts off so cynical and closed off. What's his deal?
Well, he's been hurt before. Betrayed by people he thought he could trust.
Oh, that's rough.
It is. And it leaves him with this fear of failure, this reluctance to let anyone in. But through Chrono and Taiyu, he slowly starts to let go of that cynicism. He starts to realize that trusting people, relying on them, it can actually make you stronger.
So it's like he learns that vulnerability isn't a weakness, it's actually a strength.
Exactly. And that's what makes Kazuma so relatable. We've all felt that self-doubt, that fear of letting people down. Seeing him overcome that is really powerful.
It's a reminder that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is open yourself up to others.
Absolutely. And this emphasis on personal growth. It's not just for the new characters. NXT does a great job of developing those who've been around for a while, too. Like Chrono. He's come a long way since we first met him.
Oh yeah, he's definitely matured. But how exactly does NXT showcase that growth?
Well, in past seasons, he was pretty impulsive, quick to anger. He relied mostly on instinct and natural talent, often forgetting about, strategy or teamwork.
Right. He was kind of known for being hot-headed.
Exactly. But in NXT, he's much more thoughtful, more composed. He's like a mentor to Kazuma and Taiyu, offering guidance, admitting when he messes up,
Oh, yeah. Remember when he apologizes to the team after they get crushed by Team Trinity? He totally owns up to his mistakes, admits that his arrogance and lack of communication were the reasons they lost.
It's a huge moment of self-awareness for him.
And it shows how far he's come. He's not that same impulsive kid anymore.
Right. And his relationship with his dad, Ryuzu, it still plays a big role in his development.
I bet. That's got to weigh on him.
It does. He's still trying to figure out how to honor his dad's legacy while also forging his own path.
It's something a lot of people can relate to, I think, that struggle to balance your roots with your individuality.
Absolutely, and that T digs into that complexity beautifully.
Even Tokoha, who seems so confident on the surface, she has moments of doubt, too.
Oh, for sure. She might project this image of strength, but she feels the pressure, especially as a female player, in a scene that's often dominated by men.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Remember that scene where she breaks down after losing to Xion in the regional tournament?
Mm-hmm.
She feels like she let everyone down, including herself.
It's heartbreaking, but it's also real, It shows that even the most confident people have those moments of weakness.
And what's interesting is that she doesn't overcome those doubts overnight. It's a gradual process.
It's about recognizing your weaknesses, pushing past your comfort zone, and learning from those setbacks, right?
Exactly. It's through those challenges that she truly comes into her own. She learns to trust her instincts, to embrace her unique style, and ultimately to compete with a renewed sense of purpose.
I love that. And what about Xion? His transformation in this season is incredible.
Oh yeah, Xian. He starts off kind of arrogant, aloof, but by the end he's a totally different person.
Yeah, he really comes into his own as a leader.
Totally. It's his encounters with Rizu's followers that really shake him up.
They challenge everything he thought he knew about Vanguard.
Exactly. Remember his match against Rin Hashima, another one of Ryu's disciples?
Oh yeah, Rin. He was a wild card, literally.
Yeah. Right. His deck is all about chaos and unpredictability, and it throws Xion completely off balance.
Xion likes to be in control, so that must have been a real wake-up call for him.
It was. And that's the turning point for Xion. He realizes that real leadership isn't about control. It's about being adaptable, trusting your team, and being open to new ideas.
That's a lesson we can all learn from, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of growth and leadership, we can't forget about Taiyu. He starts off so timid, kind of unsure of himself.
Yeah, he's got this hero worship thing for Chrono, and it actually holds him back at first.
Totally. He wants to prove himself so badly, but that eagerness leads to mistakes. But what's great is that he never gives up. He keeps watching, learning, pushing himself to improve.
And it pays off. By the end of the season, he's a totally different player.
Right. He blossoms into this confident, strategic card fighter who can hold his own against anyone.
It's so inspiring to watch. It's like he embodies that whole idea that we all have potential. We just need to find the right support and put in the work to unlock it.
Absolutely. And it's amazing how Next he manages to weave all of these individual stories together into one cohesive narrative.
And the pacing is perfect. You get those high-stakes card fights, but then also these quieter moments where the characters can, like, breathe and develop.
And the Under-20 Championship, it's not just a backdrop, it's the framework that drives everything.
Each round of the tournament pushes the characters in new ways, forces them to confront their weaknesses, and ultimately helps them grow.
Exactly. It's brilliant storytelling. And that brings us to something else the analysis touched on, the visuals.
Oh yeah, the animation in NXT is next level.
It is. The way they blend traditional animation with those CGI effects for the card fights, it's seamless.
It's like you're watching those cards come to life, and the character designs too, they're so expressive.
Totally. You can tell a lot about a character just from the way they stand, their facial expressions. Like Chrono's got that confident posture, that determined look in his eyes. It screams leader, you know.
Right, and Kazuma, he's always kind of hunched over, hesitant. You can practically feel the self-doubt radiating off of him.
It's amazing. It's like another layer of storytelling. And it's not just the characters. The settings, the backgrounds, they're all so detailed. It really draws you into that world.
It's like you could step right through the screen and be a part of the action.
Exactly. It's immersive. And it all adds up to create this truly unforgettable viewing experience.
Okay, so we've talked about the themes, the characters, the visuals. What else is there to unpack?
Well, I think it's important to circle back to how NXT impacted the franchise as a whole.
Okay, yeah. It feels like a real turning point for the series.
It is. It really cemented Cardfight, Vanguard, as a show that could deliver both exciting battles and deep character development.
And it set a high bar for future seasons.
Absolutely. Those themes of teamwork, growth, and emotional resonance that were so central to NXT, they've continued to be explored in the seasons that followed.
And the new characters, Kazuma, Taiyu, they've become fan favorites.
They have. NXT expanded the Vanguard universe in such a meaningful way. It's a season that sticks with you long after you've finished watching it.
It is. It's definitely essential viewing for anyone who wants to understand the evolution of Cardfight Vanguard.
It captures the essence of what makes the series so great. The thrill of the battles, the power of friendship, and that universal journey of self-discovery.
Okay, time for a final thought. Hit me with something to ponder.
So we've talked about how NXT pushed boundaries, introduced new characters, broadened the scope of the Vanguard universe. But what about the game itself? Do you think the creators were maybe hinting at changes to the mechanics or rules of Vanguard through the story of NXT?
That's a good one. I'm going to have to rewatch this season with that in mind. Maybe they were foreshadowing new card types or mechanics that would shake things up?
It's definitely possible, and that's what makes Negus T so fascinating. It's not just a great story, it sparks these kinds of questions, makes you think beyond what's on the screen.
It makes you wonder about the future of Vanguard, both the anime and the card game.
Exactly. And that's the mark of a truly great story, isn't it? It leaves you wanting more.
Well, I think we've successfully navigated the depths of Cardfight, Vanguard G, and XT.
It's been a blast diving deep into this season with you.
And for you, our awesome listener, we hope this deep dive has equipped you with a better understanding of the themes, characters, and the lasting impact of Nexty.
May this knowledge enhance your enjoyment of the series and inspire you to explore the ever-evolving world of Cardfight, Vanguard. Until next time, keep on fighting.
Yeah, it's like he realizes that letting people in, being vulnerable, it doesn't make you weak, it actually makes you stronger.
Right, and that's why Kazuma resonates with so many people. We've all been there, you know.
Totally, that fear of not being good enough, of disappointing the people you care about.
It's universal, and seeing Kazuma overcome those fears is really inspiring.
It really is. Okay, so we've talked about how Nexty handles the newcomers, but what about those who've been around since, like, the beginning?
Oh yeah, Nexty does a fantastic job of developing returning characters too. Like Chrono, for example. He's definitely not the same hot-headed kid we met in earlier seasons.
He's matured a lot,
Right.
But how does Nexty actually show that growth? Like, what are some specific examples?
Well, remember how impulsive he used to be? Always quick to anger, relying more on instinct than actual strategy.
Oh, yeah, he definitely had a temper.
And he often forgot about the importance of teamwork, you know? Like, it was all about him and his own power.
He was kind of a lone wolf.
Right. But in XT, he's much more thoughtful, more composed. He actually acts as a mentor to Kazuma and Taiyu, offering advice, supporting them, even admitting when he screws up.
That's a big change. Remember when he apologizes to the team after that disastrous first match against Team Trinity?
Oh yeah, that was a pivotal moment.
He takes full responsibility for the loss, acknowledging that his arrogance and lack of communication were the main reasons they failed.
That's huge, especially for Chrono.
It shows how much he's grown. He's finally starting to understand what it means to be a leader.
Exactly. And his relationship with his father, Ryuzu, it continues to be this major driving force in his development.
Yeah, that's a lot to grapple with. I mean, imagine having to live up to the legacy of someone like Ryuzu Myojin.
It's a constant struggle for Chrono. He admires his dad, but he also wants to create his own identity, his own legacy in the world of Vanguard.
It's like that classic struggle between honoring your roots and forging your own path, right? It's something I think a lot of people can relate to.
Absolutely. And even Tokaha, who seems so confident and self-assured, she has her own moments of self-doubt too.
Yeah, she might project this image of strength, but she's not immune to the pressure.
Especially as a female player in a world that's often dominated by men.
Right, she has to prove herself constantly.
Remember when she breaks down after losing to Xi'an in the regional tournament?
Ugh, yeah, that scene was rough.
She feels like she's let everyone down, herself included. It's a reminder that even the strongest people have those moments of vulnerability.
And what's interesting is that she doesn't just magically overcome those doubts, you know? It's a process.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging her weaknesses, pushing past her comfort zone, and learning from those setbacks.
It's about resilience, about getting back up after you fall.
Exactly. And through those challenges, she really comes into her own. She learns to trust her instincts, embrace her unique play style, and compete with this newfound sense of purpose.
I love how Nexty shows that growth, that journey. It's not about being perfect, it's about constantly striving to be better.
Absolutely. And speaking of journeys, let's talk about Xi'an. His transformation in XT is arguably one of the most significant.
Oh yeah, Xi'an. He starts off as this kind of arrogant, isolated leader, but by the end, he's completely different.
His encounters with Ryuzu's followers, they really shake him to his core.
They challenge his beliefs, his strategies, his entire understanding of Vanguard.
Exactly. Remember his match against Rin Hashima, another one of Ryuzu's disciples?
Oh yeah, Rin, with that crazy, unpredictable deck.
Right. Rin's whole play style is about chaos, about disrupting the flow of the game, and it throws Xi'an completely off guard. He's so used to being in control, to dictating the pace of the match.
And Rin just turns everything upside down.
Totally, and that's the turning point for Xi'an.
Right.
He realizes that true leadership isn't about control, it's about adaptability. It's about trusting your team, being open to new ideas, and knowing when to let go.
That's a powerful lesson, not just for Vanguard, but for life in general.
Absolutely. And speaking of leadership and growth, We can't forget about Taiyu.
Oh, yeah, Taiyu. He starts off so timid, so unsure of himself. He's got this, like, hero worship thing for Chrono.
He does, and at first it actually holds him back. He's so eager to prove himself, but that leads to mistakes and self-doubt.
But he never gives up. He keeps pushing himself to get better, to be a valuable member of the team.
And that's what makes his journey so inspiring. He's driven by this genuine desire to not only support Chrono, but to become a strong player in his own right.
And he does. By the end of the season, he's holding his own against some of the toughest opponents in the tournament.
It's a testament to the power of perseverance, of having mentors and teammates who believe in you.
It shows that with the right support and a lot of hard work, we can all achieve great things.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating is how NXT takes all of these individual character arcs and weaves them into this really compelling narrative. The pacing is fantastic.
Yeah, you get those high-stakes card fights, but then also these quieter moments of reflection, character development, and camaraderie. It's a great balance.
And the Under-20 Championship, it's the perfect framework for all of this. It's not just a random tournament, it's this driving force that pushes the characters to grow and evolve.
Each round presents new challenges, new opportunities for the characters to test their limits and discover what they're truly capable of.
Exactly. And that brings us to another aspect that I found really interesting. The visual storytelling.
Oh, yeah. The animation in NXT is incredible.
It's top-notch. The way they seamlessly blend traditional animation with those CGI effects during the card fights, it's just masterful.
It makes those battles feel so dynamic, so intense.
And it's not just about spectacle. The visual storytelling is really nuanced, you know?
Like how? Give me an example.
Well, look at the character designs. Chrono, for instance. He's got that confident posture, that determined gaze. It reflects his leadership role, his unwavering spirit.
You're right. I never really thought about it that way, but the way they animate the characters, their expressions, their body language, it all adds another layer to the story.
Exactly. And it's not just the characters. The attention to detail in the settings, the background, the tournament venues, it all helps to create a world that feels vibrant and believable.
It's immersive. It makes you feel like you're right there in the middle of the action.
Exactly. And that's a testament to the craftsmanship of the creators. You know, the writing, the animation, the music, it all comes together to create this unforgettable experience.
Okay, so we've talked about the themes, the characters, the animation. What else is there?
Well, I think it's important to circle back to the impact that NXT had on the franchise as a whole.
Yeah, this season felt like a real turning point for Cardfight Vanguard.
It did. It solidified the show's reputation as a series that could deliver both thrilling battles and meaningful character development.
And it set a high bar for future seasons.
Absolutely. The themes of teamwork, growth, and emotional resonance that were so central to NXT have continued to be explored and expanded upon in the seasons that followed.
And let's not forget the new characters that were introduced, like Kazuma and Taiyu. They've become such beloved additions to the Vanguard family.
They have. NXT really broadened the scope of the Vanguard universe. It's a fan-favorite season for a reason.
It is. It's one of those seasons that sticks with you long after you've finished watching it.
It really captures the essence of what makes the series so special. The thrill of competition, the power of friendship, and that universal journey of self-discovery.
Okay, I'm ready for our final thought. What's something to leave our listeners pondering?
So we've discussed how NXT pushed the boundaries of the series, introducing new characters, expanding the scope of the Vanguard universe. But what about the game itself? Do you think the creators were maybe hinting at future changes to the mechanics or rules of Vanguard through the story of NXT?
Ooh, that's an interesting thought. I'm going to have to rewatch the season with that in mind. Maybe they were foreshadowing new card types, new strategies, things that would shake up the game in exciting ways.
It's definitely possible, and that's what makes NXT so intriguing. It's not just a great story in its own right. It also sparks these kinds of questions, makes you think beyond what's on the screen.
It makes you wonder about the future of Vanguard, both the anime and the card game itself.
Exactly. And that's the mark of a truly great story, isn't it? It leaves you wanting more.
Well, I think we've successfully navigated the depths of Cardfight. Vanguard G NXT. What a journey.
It's been a blast diving deep into this season with you.
And for you, our awesome listener, we hope this deep dive has equipped you with a better understanding of the themes, characters, and the lasting impact of NXT.
May this knowledge enhance your enjoyment of the series and inspire you to explore the ever-evolving world of Cardfight. Vanguard. Until next time, keep on fighting.
Yeah, it's like those little hints, those breadcrumbs they sprinkled throughout the season.
Right. It makes you think about how the creators were envisioning the future of Vanguard, both the anime and the card game itself.
It's like they were planting seeds in NextXT that would grow and blossom in later seasons. Maybe Chrono's development as a player, his journey from instinct to strategy, maybe that reflects how the actual card game was evolving, becoming more complex, more strategic over time.
That's a really cool way to look at it. And it shows just how much thought and care went into creating this series. They weren't just making entertaining stories, they were building this whole interconnected world, you know?
Right, a world that exists both in the anime and in the real-world card game.
Exactly. It's like they were inviting us to be part of that evolution, to think critically about the game and its potential.
To see the possibilities, to imagine where it could go next.
Absolutely. And that's what makes these deep dives so rewarding. We're not just passively watching, we're actively engaging with the material, asking questions, exploring different interpretations.
We're peeling back the layers, uncovering the hidden depths.
Exactly. And in doing so, we deepen our appreciation for the artistry and complexity of Cardfight, Vanguard G, NextXT.
I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on the season, like I'm seeing it with fresh eyes.
It's amazing how much there is to discover when you really take the time to analyze it, to delve into the details.
It's like a treasure hunt, and the treasure is a deeper understanding of the story and the characters.
And ultimately, a deeper understanding of ourselves, too, right? Because NextXT isn't just about card fights, it's a reflection of the human experience. Those challenges we face, the connections we forge, the journeys we undertake to find our place in the world.
It's about those universal themes that resonate with us all.
Exactly. It's about the power of friendship, the importance of perseverance, and the never-ending quest to discover who we truly are.
Well said. So, I think we've covered just about everything, wouldn't you say?
I think so. We've explored the major themes, analyzed the characters, and looked at the impact NextXT had on the entire franchise.
We've unpacked those rivalries that push characters to grow, seen how teamwork can lead to amazing victories, and delved into those big questions of identity and purpose.
And we've even speculated on the connections between the story of NextXT and the evolution of the actual Vanguard card game.
It's been quite a journey. For our listeners out there, we hope this deep dive into Cardfight, Vanguard G NextXT, has given you a new perspective on this incredible season.
We hope it sparked your curiosity, ignited your imagination, and maybe even inspired you to revisit the series with fresh eyes.
And most importantly, we hope it's reminded you of the power of storytelling, the way it can connect us, inspire us, and ultimately help us understand ourselves a little bit better.
So until next time, keep on fighting and keep exploring those amazing worlds that await you in the Vanguard universe.
See you on the next